Why, hello YouTube! Greetings from the LazyEyebrowReviewer to my second last review. And given what was the second review way back nearly 6 years ago, what better figure could there be to round out this channel than the Maketoys Masterpiece-esque take on Jazz himself? And first off, man, what a year it's been for Jazz! The last iteration we saw was that RID reboot Jazz with those creepy eyes, and before that was like RTS or animated maybe? Basically, Jazz hasn't really been in the spotlight for years, and then all of a sudden, BAM! TNR teases their prototype that never came to be. Maketoys releases Downbeat. Generation Toys an updated take. Toy World pumps theirs out. Rumors of Takara following suit float around, but Sunstreaker comes out instead, and then Power of the Primes gives us a deluxe combiner limb. Whoa now everybody, I can only take so much epicness at once. I eventually settled with Downbeat, despite my incessant whining and complaining that it wasn't exactly to my liking, so let's see if that decision paid off. Maketoys Downbeat is a faithful recreation of a Porsche 935, in this case, the street legal version. But
something's missing.
I mean, the colors are all there. The soft creamy white, the deep blue, the red stripe, and yet it's still not quite Jazz. Enter Toy Hacks and all of their sticker upgrades. And now here we have a faithful representation of our number 4 Autobot. This particular Toy Hack set actually had the rare opportunity of being available for purchase before Downbeat even hit suppliers, thanks to Maketoys and they're sending an early copy directly to Toy Hacks to produce repro labels. And it really shows on the figure that this was the intention the whole time. Going back to before the label upgrades, we see the blue stripe with a singular stripe running down the center, but no cyan. Meanwhile, on the rear fenders, a bubbled surface that makes itself difficult to apply stickers of any kind, we have the full paint scheme and what it should have looked like. I do rather like how this has been handled. Maketoys knows Toy Hacks exists, they know it helps drive sales, so why let those that wait and see how the labels turn out wait 4 months when they can see it before it even ships? And the labels really do look fantastic, updating it from a Jazz fan paint scheme to the real McCoy, with proper Martini livery, Porsche and Shell logos, and other various detailing. Honestly, this label set is practically mandatory for this figure. And well, now he definitely fits in with my Jazz collection. I have mentioned this before, but the Jazz in the end isn't actually a Transformer. It's part of a collection of 1-87 HO scale vehicles as decoration for my train set. I also have Optimus Prime, Huffer for some reason, Sideswipe, and Bumblebee. And seeing as how we do have at least 4 of the MP vehicles with accurate scale model counterparts, let's see how they stack up. Alright, Prime, now Jazz. And I can't say I've ever noticed how slightly underscaled MP10 was before. Nothing too terrible, I suppose, though. Sideswipe. And, well, that's surprisingly accurate. And then we get to Bumblebee. In MPB tradition, he scales well with everything. I mean, just look at the accuracy, the attention to detail Takara put into his vehicle size. I mean, just everything they put into MP21 just screams 1-to-1 scale, right? Though for real, I'm genuinely surprised just how close to proper proportions they came between Sideswipe and Jazz, which also carries over to the Datsun trio as well. From all 3 angles, it truly is a perfect representation of proportionate scale. And with that bit out of the way, you all know what time it is. That's right, it's time for
obligatory trailer functionality.
Because despite the fact that 11 official MPs and countless other third-party attempts have all covered this, people are still dying to know. Can Prime store my character if I ever want him out of sight and in vehicle? And the answer is, unsurprisingly, yes. And now for some vehicle accessories. On the back are holes in the taillights, which, sad to say, is where Toy Hacks has placed labels without notch holes cut into them. I contacted Toy Hacks about this error, and good news! They're going to fix this set! And now any future order of labels for Downbeat will have the hole cut out in the taillights. However, that's not the only set that will have proper taillight labels, as they are currently designing a new conversion set for Maketoys Downbeat. This conversion set will take Jazz from his Martini paint scheme and bring over to the hip and the happening, musically themed G2 design, designed by none other than the voice of Prime in the Overdose skits, Camzilla51. I can't state enough how excited I am for this set, and goodness if it isn't tempting me to keep Jazz around just for the sake of some G2 love. G2 Jazz is a fun paint scheme, all rainbowy and music notes everywhere and whatnot, and I'm super excited Toy Hacks is bringing this to us. Anyway, removing the taillight sticker for now provides access to the holes where we find the perfect spot to test my new speakers, man! Perfect for light and sound shows, like when he was on Skyfire for that one episode, though he was more like this size. For size comparison, two of the other racing-centric Autobots, and boy oh boy do they look great together despite being different classes of vehicles and would never in the real world ever be found on the same circuit together. And heck, why not, just for the fun of it? All the MPs in one giant parking lot. Alrighty then, onwards to robot mode. Start by breaking the car in half. Unclip the fenders from the front hood and swing the hood in the upper cab up. Fold in that hood and grille piece. Fold up the doors. Swing out the wheels. On the bottom, fold down the chest plate, pull out the arms, rotate back on its rocker hinge the front of the car, fold in the front wheels, move the shoulders down on the sliding pin, rotate the arms out, then fold down the chest while locking the shoulder into their tab sections. Collapse the front fenders and plug it into the chest gap, straighten out the arm, close up the forearm sections, then rotate only the forearms 180 degrees. Bend the head into position, fold the doors up and then swing them around, and then close out the rooftop. Now, I like the transformation so far for a very specific reason. You can recreate that episode where they needed Cybertonium and Jazz is all like, "Hey, I'm stuck!" Thanks! Anyway, let's get to the rest of the vehicle. Split apart the legs, unpeg and swing around the entire rear fender, fold this up, and then extend the leg by swinging it on its double hinge. Then move the window down and fold the flap back down. Spit out this faux fender bit and spin the fender upright. Unfold this unsightly white bit from vehicle mode that Toy Hacks tried to improve the look as exhaust pipes, open the shins, pull out the foot and heel section, and close the shin. Swing in the rear bumper until it pegs into the fender. Finally, rotate the spoiler back down. And done! Goodness, what a slick-looking Autobot! A cool feature, by the way, is because of the way the doors are designed, you can have the tune-accurate hidden doors, or little door wings like the old toy and box art had for him. It's a nice touch. Now this is what he looked like before mods and stickers, mind you. And while I do like the silver used on his thighs, and subsequently wonder why it wasn't used on the shins or feet, it's rather inaccurate to not only the toy, but the animation they were trying to go for here. So not only does Repro Labels fix up the bot, but so did a coat of paint for a more tune-accurate look, and I quite dig it. And as mentioned before, you have the option of door placement, and the nice thing about that is that it was designed also to be able to retract and place the wings without the need for a massive transformation or anything. It's quick, it's simple, it looks and functions great.
Excuse me, Mr. Jazz. Now, I have a question. What does a DJ actually do?
He's not a disc jockey! He doesn't play music or shoot lasers or fly.
Excuse me.
Whoa! And now for articulation. The head is on this crazy triple joint system for all kinds of forward and backward movement, spin, but oddly enough, very little tilt. The shoulders rotate, have a separate outward movement system, 140 degrees double hinged elbows, which is pretty great, wrist rotation, and standard MP hands, which means he and Cloud9 can face bump together at the fact MP Shockwave can't do this at all. Swivel here, and incredible ab crunch! That's some MP Megatron level crunch there. But unlike Megatron, it doesn't look super weird from some angles. And then here's where we run into some issues. I'll cover it, and then we'll talk about it. Ratcheted sideways hips, skirt panels move, ratcheted forward and backward hips, double jointed knees, and swivel. Epic ankle tilt, and forward and backward. So epic, the poses like this, and times when he's sliding into third base, safe, are all possible. So then, what could be wrong with it? Well, one of the main reasons I didn't pick this figure up initially was because of the chest. At first it looked too thick, too squished together, mainly because I was used to the look of the G1 chest, as well as MB cars like Prowl and other Jazz figures that all go by these proportions. But it is cartoon accurate, and after a while it just kinda grew on me in pictures. What really sold me on this figure though, and what made me decide to actually buy it, is the way the legs were designed. Yes, it's technically some faux parts, but keyword being some, as most of the leg is still comprised of actual fender, but it looks cartoon accurate and folds itself up into a neat and tidy way, unlike the G1, and at least two of the MP attempts did that and ended up looking terrible. Out of everything, the feet, and the absolutely astounding way they tucked themselves away into a nice solid look, is what drew me to this figure. So let's talk about those problems I mentioned earlier. The feet are not only tucked up all brilliantly, but also feature some wide range of movement. It's just the same that the hips are ratcheted, and not very incrementally like Megatron was. So we end up with problems like Combiner Wars Motormaster or Onslaught. We go from way too close together to way too far apart, rendering all that foot articulation pretty redundant. Yay, he has articulation, but he can't even use most of it. I just can't fathom why they didn't just make the hips friction joints like other MP car bots and their many points of leg movement. On then to accessories. Downbeat comes with 9 accessories total. So let's start with the basics that every figure except Classics Bumblebee comes with, the blaster. And not a fan. The gray is just bland and boring, the notch at the end just looks weird, the detail even when compared to the G1 is just lacking, and especially so when compared to the paint and detail of other MP guns and even the Classics line as of late. It's just kind of underwhelming. Something else the G1 got but was never to be found in the cartoon was a missile launcher. Well, Downbeat comes with one too. It works by taking this connection bit and friction holding it into the hood. I can't even begin to tell you how much of an afterthought this feels like. Like they were just about finished and ready to prototype it and someone said, "Oh hey, the G1 had a tiny shoulder cannon. Maybe we should make one." And now, because of that decision, he gets to join the Secret Shoulder Cannon Society. Another 4 of his accessories are his light and sound show equipment. The first 2 are extra speakers that peg into his hip skirts. Barely even noticeable difference, but it's still kind of a nice nod. The other 2 speakers that were mentioned earlier and that also have holographic reflective labels applied plug into the shoulders. And now he's ready to be a distraction. Got yourself a Trax? Fire off Mini Blaster, plug him into Jazz, and then Jazz essentially becomes the sound system to Blaster's music player. He also comes probably with my favorite accessory, the Grappling Hook. Featured a mere handful of times in the G1 pilot episodes, and then heavily in Fall of Cybertron, this threaded winch also comes with a hook that you tie onto the end, of which I hot glued and then trimmed, to which he then grabs onto. So while this attachment doesn't become where the hand was, they've designed it so that it doesn't really matter all that much aesthetically. That and being part of the hand also makes for swivel for better poses if you so desire. It's kind of a nice trade-off actually. Honestly, this winch is probably the accessory I've had the most fun with.
Whoa! I got you, Prime! Jazz! 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 2:45, twist, little cheaper, and fly! The perfect cast. Spider Jazz! Spider Jazz! Even whatever I promise! This spider's also about to have a hole in his chest! Spider Jazz! Get back here, insect butt!
And then finally we're left with alternate faces like everything else seems to have these days. This works by removing the helmet, popping it off the face, and replacing it with a new one. So the 3 faces are neutral, this idiotic smile, which, by the way, on both of the alternate faces I painted the mouth gap and it makes the mouth look a lot better. Though not even that could save this smile from looking super doofy. Let's look and compare briefly to 5 other official and third-party masterpieces that have been released recently. Ratchet, Inferno, Bumblebee, Sunsurge, Megatron, and finally Downbeat. Friendly open smile, friendly open smile, friendly close smile, cheeky little smirk, open maniacal laughing. What the heck is this? This doesn't feel like some attitude-filled quirky smile. This looks and feels like some doofy-looking hit by a 2x4 face, and I honestly have no idea what application this alternate face could have beyond duh. The other face, though, does fare quite a bit better, and is actually useful. It's one of shock, like,
"We wanted the authentic experience, so we built machines collectively stronger than all of us, with the collective intelligence of Bumblebee, each with the disposition of gears."
For size comparison, MP10, G1 Blaster, MP Ironhide, MP Inferno, Wheeljack, Sunsurge, Bumblebee, Titan's Return Brawn, and GDO Cliffjumper. Skywarp, which really gives some context to the intro where Jad socked him in the jaw and then got thrown, Megatron, and then finally Bad Cube's Insecticons. So that's Maketoys Downbeat. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. I may have gotten used to it, but the chest still is a point of some annoyance. And the fact that the hips are ratcheted without finer detents really brings this guy down from flat out incredible. On the other hand, the rest of the articulation, the way the legs especially have been engineered, and other little things do make me happy with my purchase, and as such is making me debate whether or not I should keep this one figure around when the rest of my collection goes. Basically, he's a great figure, worth the price point despite the flaws, and one I can still recommend as he does look better in hand. Well, second last review was about Jazz, just like my second review ever. See you all in the next review for the grand finale. This has been the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer.